go to get all cleaned up and put away.
Hello and good afternoon. I'm Dakota from Galt Advocacy. Today is another Facebook Live with Galt Advocacy. I'm so unused to doing this, and I don't know, I'm all frazzled. But welcome to any early arrivals, and for anyone who is watching this later online, good to have you. And yeah, today we're going to talk about support systems. Now, this is kind of a little bit last minute for me. I'll just admit that right off the bat. And so it's a little bit thrown together, and it's going to be sort of hopefully more of a chatting time and just sort of sharing some of my experiences of supports that I have, seen and talked to and met. But also a time for you guys, those of you who are watching this live, to share what has worked with you for you and to talk about what supports have been the most helpful for your child. Hopefully you can't hear that. There is someone with a siren going crazy outside right now, so hopefully that's not being picked up on the microphone. Yeah, I hope everyone's okay out there, whatever's going on. So as you show up, as you're in here, go ahead and share, what special needs supports have been very beneficial to you in the comment section. We'll have a little bit for me to talk about, but yeah. Before we get started, I do want to let you guys know about one event that we do have coming up, and that's at the end of this month, the last Saturday in July. We're going to have a special needs workshop put on by Galt Advocacy. I believe Myra herself is going to be doing the workshop, and it's going to be online. So wherever you are in the state, you'll be able to join us for that. And yeah, that's coming up the end of this month, and we'll talk about it again later. And if you need information, you can find it on our website. That's the thing I was supposed to say. All right. We already got some people showing up. Dicey, hello. Good to see you. And as I said a few minutes ago, it's going to be sort of a back and forth time. So I'm going to share some resources, some information, but I'd like to hear from you guys about where you find your support in the special needs world, both emotional and practical support, like, regional centers or other, day programs, things like that. And yeah, I just want everybody to sort of connect and find out what's available in their area. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump into it. And first I want to talk about, what are we talking about supports and why is it important? So Myra Galt, she very often has talked about how becoming a parent of a special needs child is like being dropped in a foreign country, right? You don't know the language, you don't know where to look, you don't know what to expect. It turns your life upside down. And no one gives you the guidebook, right? No one tells you what to do. No one gives you the step-by-step instructions of, okay, you need to fill out these forms, you need to sign up for this program, you need to get them in special education, give them an early start regional center. No one. And so for so many parents who get this sort of just thrust upon them all of a sudden, the doctors, nurses, whoever, no one's really in charge of making sure you know what to do. And so that's why we find it so helpful to have both emotional and like informational supports to come alongside you and kind of guide you along the way. And that's what we try to do here. Like for us, for our Facebook page and our business, we want to be both that like emotional ground where you can share your experiences and, be open, talk to other people, kind of relate with each other's experiences, but also provide answers to questions and guidance on how these programs work and what to expect from people who have been through it. Now, it's hard for me because I'm not as closely related to the special needs world. I do it very much professionally. I don't have family members with special needs, and so it's not something that I dealt with growing up. But that's why I, want to reach out to other people and hear their stories and find out about what's going on through their lives. Now, why it's important is, for one, you can't know everything yourself, obviously. You don't just become an instant expert as soon as you become a parent with special need of a child with special needs. But also the emotional support's really important because you don't want to burn out. If you're the caretaker, if you're the person taking care of this child, you don't want to just completely burn out on your energy and have nothing left to take care of yourself or your other kids or anything like that. And so having respite care, having financial support, having, people who you can vent to just talk about it, all of it's really important. Dicey saying helpful supports, IHSS, respite, personal attendance, supportive living services, school services, ABA, absolutely all those things. Of course, we at Galt Advocacy, we do a lot of work with the IHSS, but respite is super important for giving yourself, the needed break to get your energy up and everything like that. Personal attendance, supportive living services, if you can get them, and the school services and ABA is not just good in themselves, but it's also good in getting a record of your child to share with doctors, to share with IHSS, to share with other programs, so that they know what to expect with your child. And you also mentioned other parents going through the same issues, Facebook groups. Absolutely. And you mentioned other parents going through the same issues. That can be people that personally, like if you're in the community, if you can find other social groups you can be a part of, church groups. I mean, just within my own church, I know like 3 or 4 or 5 families that have special needs. And so getting connected in your community in whatever way that looks like can be very helpful. Now, we'll kind of get into it a little bit later about where you can go to find these groups, but we'll get into that. So, what then is out there? What's available for you? Now, we do a lot of IHSS work, and that can be great. Like IHSS, Medi-Cal, the SSI, these are all really helpful for the financial support side of things because it's, you save yourself a lot of stress, right? If you don't have to worry about the financial burden of having to care for a child who has maybe intense medical needs or a much greater level of care need. You can't have a job because you have to take care of them so much. And getting those types of supports is a great first step to make sure that you're secure and taken care of. Also, getting things like a special needs trust in place or other, accounts where you can save up money for your special needs child with it having, tax issues. I'm not an expert on any of that stuff, but those kind of things are also incredibly both beneficial for the future, but also give you a lot of peace of mind that you won't have to worry about the long-term effects. Now, aside from the financial benefits, there's also, as Dicey mentioned, things like ABA services, speech therapy, occupational therapy, and a lot of these you can get through the regional center. If your child's very young, the first place you want to start is Early Start Regional Center because you can get into Early Start even with very minor qualifications. They don't have the same high level of criteria as the later on the full regional center gets. So Early Start, I think I don't think there even is a minimum age, but it can go up until they are 3 years old. And they can do some of those therapies. They can do some of that early intervention stuff to try and make it so that once your child enters school, they won't need a whole bunch of extra help and extra support. But getting into Early Start also means that they will automatically be assessed for regional center once they turn 3. And so you'll have sort of that first chance to get into regional center to get some of the supports that they offer. I have a slide here I'm going to look at, and hopefully, I don't know how readable this is going to be, but this is a little something that we have from our presentation. If you've ever been to one of our seminars where Myra shares about all things special needs, this is one of the slides, and I can't really read the words on there very well. I'll have to look really closely at it, but hopefully you guys can. Yeah. I'll just get closer to the screen. But anyway, these are a fairly large list, but I don't think even a comprehensive list of all of the services that regional center can provide. And so you've got things like, of course, day programs, ABA therapies and whatnot. A lot of those the therapies can go through regional center. Now, if you're in special education, they might go through the school instead. But anything the school doesn't cover, that's when the regional center comes in. Durable medical equipment, shower chairs, wheelchairs, walkers, things like that. Like a lot of these things are covered by regional center or insurance. Let me see if there's anything especially unusual here. I don't know. Well, this is another one of those things where if there are specific regional center services that you get that you have found to be particularly beneficial, put in the comment section. This is I want to have a back and forth here, and I believe Teresa's on here as well, and she might be sharing some other maybe lesser known regional center services, and she'll be posting that in the comments so we can talk about that as well. But okay, so let's talk. What else can we get besides regional center? Well, there's also just local, because regional center is throughout the whole state, but there's also local agencies that can help out and be groups you can turn to. Now, before I get into the local agencies, there is one other agency that we actually turn to a lot for informational support. When there's something about IHSS or Medi-Cal or budget stuff that we don't know, one of the first places we look is Disability Rights of California. They are an exceedingly helpful resource to find out good legal information, good summaries of laws, and they post to their sources as well, so you can always go in there and look at what they have. But that is even us as advocates who do this professionally, we love to check them out to see what their write-ups, their summaries about new changes to laws, new regulations, things like that. We find them so helpful in giving us information, especially in regards to regional center, Medi-Cal, IHSS, all that stuff. Of course, there are other groups that we know of that do assistance with Medi-Cal. We have Medi-Cal Consulting Services, who were on here a few weeks back, who's a good friend of ours, and so we always recommend them. There are people we know who do conservatorships, which can be very helpful for getting you that long-term support. And then, like I was talking about, there are going to be local things in your area. Now, we many times have gone to what we like to call booth events. They're resource fairs, essentially. And it's places where you can get in touch with whatever is in your area. Now, we've done these in Sacramento, in San Francisco, in Monterey, in San Bernardino. We've done it all over. And these are always such great events where we can talk about, or we can go from place to place and find out what kind of supports are available in that area. So we've got like specialty dentists, for one, who are specifically trained to help with children with special needs. Either they... There's a link on our page. Oh, there's a link on our page for those. That's great. Apparently, we have links to those kinds of things, like specialty dentists. And they'll do either sedated dentistry if it's very severe, or they have just special techniques for helping with kids that are particularly sensitive to having things in their mouth. We met with specifically special needs private schools, who one of the ones up north, every single one of their students had a one-to-one aide by default. So, this isn't even part of the public school. They don't even have IEPs, but every student gets a one-on-one aide. And that's just one example. There's also a lot of legal services or advocate services. Now, of course, we as advocates, we highly recommend, when you're going through these programs, when you're trying to get, for us, it's IHSS, but for others, it might be Medi-Cal or WPCS. We highly recommend searching out advocates to find that legal support structure, things like that. And you can actually find a lot of information, like here on Facebook. You can find family groups for that emotional support, but also people who can share advice. We recently have started looking at the Reddit, the IHSS Reddit, that has a lot of people asking questions and getting answers and things like that. But what else? So at these booth events, we also one time I met with the Special Olympics. We're present at this resource fair, and they were handing out flyers for how to get signed up and what kind of events they hold and other smaller group activities, things like that. Summer camps, day camps for adults and children. These are just some of the things that you find at resource fairs, and we've done them with several different groups. And we want to shout out some of the groups that we've worked with. One up here, up north, is Parents Helping Parents. So if you're sort of in our area, I think they might have been in like the San Jose area. I think San Jose area or Contra Costa was Parents Helping Parents, and then we also worked with Support for Families. I think that was in San Francisco as well. And in down San Bernardino, we actually went to a booth event that was hosted or co-hosted by the regional center in that area. And in sort of Central California, we've worked several times with a group that we're really fond of, which is Special Kids Connect. We've done some online things with them. We've done some resource fairs. I think we once spoke at one of their other events down there, but we've worked with them several times. If you're sort of in that Monterey, Salinas, Bakersfield kind of area, I mean, it's a big area, but yeah, that's just a handful of the groups that we've worked with that can get you connected to these resource fairs. So wherever you are in the state, there probably is a resource fair, at least relatively close to where you are, and you can find schools, day programs, advocacy groups, legal groups, other places that do conservatorships at these events usually. And usually your local regional center, and sometimes even the IHSS workers, will also be present at these events. Several of them actually are geared towards children, where they'll have games and prizes and crafts and things at the tables. We've done a few of those where we've done like build your own pens with little beads and charms and things, or we've done little games with a duck pond or whatnot. But those events in particular are quite enjoyable for the whole family. So these kind of things that we try to post about them when we're going to be at one, and we let people know when we're going to be at them, but we don't know about a lot of these events that go on. So this is another way that if you know of these kinds of special needs resource fair booth events that are coming up that you think Galt Advocacy should be at, let us know. Send us a message on Facebook, post it in the comment section, because we want to look into these things. We want to try to make it to as many of them as we can. So yeah, that's another thing I want to talk about. Let me get into some of these questions, see if there's any other things people are saying in the comment section. So Teresa said, if you were a new special needs family, what is the first place you would want to be? What is the first place you'd want to be sent to? So I think I kind of went over that accidentally, but I think early start with regional center is a great place to begin.
I'm curious what people out there, if they have like a favorite place that they're like, this place helped me most of everybody.
Okay, so that was a question for everybody. So if anyone wants to answer this question, what's the first place if you had to start over, where's the first place you would go? For me, I think the early start is a good first place, because once you have the diagnosis, I think that's good enough for you to get at least those beginning resources to try to get that early intervention going, and that's pretty helpful. A lot of things, I mean, IHSS, for instance, is hard to get until you're at least 4 years old at the youngest. I mean, in very severe cases, you might be able to get IHSS at 3 years old. But if you have very severe medical needs, but otherwise, most people won't even start getting IHSS hours until 4 years old. Oh yeah, I'll put this up just again very briefly. But if there is something on this list that you wanna read for yourself, here, let me get myself out of the way here. If there's something on this list you want to read for yourself, take a screenshot of it or take a picture of it, and then you can check out some of these things later. Maybe ask your regional center worker if any of these things are available to you. So hopefully everyone's had a chance to look at that. Let me see what other comments we've got. Let me go back to Oh, there we go. There's back to myself. Dicey said, I found advocacy is so important for families to access to really understand the services and resources available. Who can fund advocacy? Oh, that's a good question. Because we've gotten this question a lot, and we have asked other people as well. Are we a vendor from through the regional center that can be paid through the regional center? And we specifically are not. But
So we are looking into being vendorized for special education.
yeah, we have looked into this before, and we actually are currently looking into possibly being vendorized for special education. But this is something that we have considered in a lot of ways, and I think some advocacy groups do actually become vendors of the regional center, and so part of your budget, I think it's especially easier if you're on self-determination potentially, but where they can allocate some resources for advocacy for certain things. But also, there are a lot of people who are willing to do advocacy work. Now, we can't guarantee how much they'll do or what exactly they're willing to do, but there are a lot of people who do free advocacy work. Unfortunately, a lot of the nonprofits, the Disability Rights California that we mentioned, they're a nonprofit and they do some advocacy, but for the most part, they aren't doing the day-to-day helping people with individual cases. They're more like high up trying to change laws. Like they're working with lawyers to try to get whole regulations changed. And so helping individual families is not as much what a lot of nonprofit advocacy groups do. They're more so like unions that they're in superior court, in Supreme Court, doing things like that.
Ellen Cookman Law has recently become vendorized in a couple of different regional centers. But unfortunately, regional centers, people have to be vendorized in every single one individually.
Oh, okay. So if you're vendorizing one, you can't necessarily get it if you're with a different regional center.
Yeah, you have to tell them.
Okay. Teresa's sharing with me all kinds of information. Like I said, I'm not the complete expert on this, so she's finding all kinds of other things for me. So this is another resource that we actually just find very useful to look into in general. There's a website called Cookman Law that's run by Ellen Cookman, and apparently their advocacy work has recently been vendorized in some regional centers, but not all of them. So if you're at one of the regional centers where Cookman Law, I don't know if that's what they call the advocacy part of their work, but if you're at a regional center where they have been vendorized, then they could pay for your advocacy services. But unfortunately, a vendor has to be vendorized in each regional center separately for that regional center's clients to be able to take them on as part of their services. So hopefully that'll spread to even more areas, but that's something that in some cases it is possible. Oh, Teresa already answered your question so long ago, but anyway, I hope that was helpful. I hope that you like these answers. Vendor for special education, interesting. Yeah, that's something that we're working on. Our special education, if you're talking about us becoming a vendor, our special education side of our advocacy is still kind of being built up. But we do have some very experienced people who are very knowledgeable about IEPs and working with the school system. And we've given out free advice about special education for so long now. But becoming a more, doing more hands-on advocacy and actually going to IEP meetings and whatnot is something that we're looking into trying to do more of that. And if we can get vendorized through the regional center, that would help us immensely in being able to help a lot more families. So yeah, that's something that we're hoping to do soon. Solange, I think your comment got cut off because all I can see is hello. I'm a new provider for my son who Q. So hopefully you're still here. I am ready to take your question whenever you want, but Yeah, I don't know if it's because it's on YouTube, if that cut off the question for some reason. But if you're hearing this, just let us know the rest of what your question was. And let's see, Dicey said, can't Regional Center fund some services via reimbursement? And I think Teresa might have already answered that, but let me see. Let me see what she said. Yes, they have to agree to it ahead of time, and the need for it has to go into your IPP. Okay, so it's not something you can just. Unfortunately, it's not a ask for forgiveness rather than permission kind of situation. But yeah, I mean, I think Regional has some options to do things. I mean, I would imagine in most cases for paying for services that are outside of their vendors, they'd probably prefer to only do that through the self-determination program, I would imagine, since that's now an option. By the way, because I know a lot of people have been talking about it, there had been talk about the self-determination program getting budget cuts and getting cut back in some ways. And I do think that I'm not sure if that ever actually happened, because they finished the budget proposal and all that, but there was never any discussion about what actually was being trimmed back from Regional Center. So until we hear more, I'm just not going to worry about it. But if we find out what actually was changed, because it was supposed to be related to the self-determination program, we'll let you know. We'll have a post or an update about it later on. So yeah, let me see if there's anything else that I forgot to mention on my little outline here. I mean, there are a lot of great groups and resources. We only mentioned a few of them that we've worked with: Special Kids Connect, Parents Helping Parents, and Support for Families. But that's only a small handful that we've personally worked with. There are so many other great resources out there, and groups, and like even just like Facebook groups. There's several of them that are just other parents that have special needs that just come together and talk about what's going on, share events, share advice, and what has worked for them. So yeah, I'm done with my portion a little bit early, so I'm open up to you guys. If you have anything, go ahead and throw it in the comment section.
Did you ask people if they have any events, booth events that they've gone to?
I did, but I'll say it again for anyone who wasn't here earlier. I missed it. So as part of us wanting to hear about what supports worked for you, we also want to know about any booth events that you've been to that were really great, and if there are yearly ones we want to know about, so maybe we can show up. So yeah, have you been to these events? Have you found, because we've been to ones in San Francisco. We've done that one year after year. We've done the one in Salinas, I think it was, where I think that was where Special Kids Connect did their thing. And so we're only aware of a couple of these things. We want to hear about more. Okay, I think we got another comment here. Let me check it out. Solange said, "Hi, I'm a new IHS provider for my son. Are there restrictions on what funds can be used on, or can they be used for bills, rent, child expenses, therapy, personal expenses, etc.?" Yeah, so if you're an IHS provider, you are being paid to do whatever care hours your son requires. So bowel and bladder care, dressing, feeding, protective supervision. And you, as a provider, you do the work, you do the care, you put in your hours, you get paid. At that point, that money's yours. You can use it on anything you want. So if you want to put it towards rent, bills, money, anything, you're as a provider, you're essentially just being paid to do a job. So as long as you do the job of, doing the dressing, the meal prep, the transportation, whatever it is, you do the job, you get paid. That's your money. Do with it whatever you want. One thing that we had been discussing, and we actually did a short video about this recently, is that if you are on IHS or your child is on IHS because they have low income or low assets, you do want to be careful to not save up too much money within your own bank account, because that could affect your child's assets depending on how it's being calculated. So there's more that we could go into that discussion, but that's just something to keep in mind that if you start saving a whole bunch of money, but your child's assets are being your assets are being accounted to them, then that could affect your eligibility. But that's a separate issue and is probably fine. But I just wanted to bring that up for you. I'll just say this since we have time, and we'll probably wind down. This is a bit of a shorter video, but since we have time, I'll just say this. We posted about it a few days ago, I think a week ago, about the big changes happening with the federal government and their budget bill proposal, whatever. And essentially, to put it very briefly, we want to. What was the phrase that Teresa said? She said, "We want to, fight with facts, not with fear." So when we find out that there's something that's being changed to IHSS, if there's something that's going to affect the disabled population, and we get clear information about that, we're going to jump right on that, right? We want to find out about this and push our California representatives to not go through with any changes. And that's the thing for us, for IHSS, nothing happens unless California says so, right? IHSS is a California-run program. Unless our government says we're going to take it away from people with these disabilities, or we're going to take it away from people who are under this age, or anything like that. If they try to change the law, then we can make that change, and we can petition them not to take away benefits from these people. But until then, we don't want to fearmonger. We don't want to feed into the stress that so many people are feeling right now, because if anything's going to happen, it's not going to be for a long time, and we'll see it before it happens.
So many things that we've got worked up about in the past have never come to fruition. And if you think about how many times you've gotten worked up about something that somebody has given you as fear, and then it didn't come to pass, you don't want to be that person to someone else.
Yeah. So to basically sum it up, for one thing, any changes that happen now will not actually take effect for probably I think 2017 was the earliest for when anything was actually changing.
No, not 2017, 2027.
Sorry, that's what I meant to say. 2027, not 2017. And I think some of them were not until 2018. Now,
2028.
Now we want to. Thank you. 2028. My brain is fried right now.
10 years back.
But aside from that, like we're saying, we're going to target things where we see them, and so just saying that this program's going to spend less money doesn't mean they're going to take money away from you. That's not how it works, right? They have to make a change to say, this is our new qualifications. This is a new classification. This is a new law that says that this group no longer qualifies. That's what changes. And right now, the disabled population, the people who are receiving IHSS currently, none of them are being told that they're going to lose anything. So that's why we're holding out. We're on standby. We're looking very carefully to see if anything is going to take hours away from those people.
Watchful but not worried.
Watchful. That's the word. We're being watchful but not worried. And so you get it. Let me see if anyone else posted anything. Galt Advocacy repeated what I found on. Thank you for copying that for the people on Facebook who didn't see it. Rebecca said, yes, fear causes too many misconceptions, mistakes, and misinformation. And of course, we are always on the lookout, and we want to hear from people. If you have information about bills that are trying to be passed, or things that people want to change, or programs, or propose changes to regulations, we want to hear about that stuff. And if it's bad, if it's going to take away hours from the vulnerable population, we want to share it with people. So always let us know, share it with us, private message us if you have information like that, because it's so, I keep forgetting to actually put these comments on the screen. I'm sorry. Caleb's more used to this, but
Did you get the one from Dakota?
I don't think I did. Rosita said, "This is also confusing if you qualify for IHS because you have Medi-Cal and those cuts for Medicaid." I mean, that's kind of what I was getting into, and ultimately, our look is, for the most part, what we're seeing so far is that the changes to Medicaid is for the able-bodied, non-disabled population, and so at least as far as IHSS, one of the requirements to get on IHSS is to be to have a disability. So as long as those changes don't affect people who have disabilities, then there should hopefully be no issues for any IHSS clients. To our understanding, if that changes, if we see that people are actually getting removed because of this change, then that'll be very different from what we say. Solange says, does the bill affect regional center ID waivers? Thank you. What is an ID waiver? Is that for undocumented immigrant IDs, or is that something else unrelated? Or sorry, no, ID as institutional deeming, right? Not identification. My bad. Institutional deeming waivers. I don't believe there's any reason that would change. I didn't see any. I mean, looking at both people who support it and people who are very much concerned about it, I don't see either side saying that the institutional deeming waivers are going to be at risk. So I'm guessing no. But if anyone has other information about that, absolutely let us know. No, you save your comments for yourself. All right. Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, we're not going to get entirely into the whole bill discussion today. But you can always, if you have more questions, or if you want to share something with us that maybe if we ever get something wrong, you want to share it with us, please send us a message, a private message on Facebook, and let us know. Send us articles or whatever you've got. But yeah, thank you all for coming today. Unfortunately, I will say that we're talking about having a good support system and knowing where to turn for information and for emotional support. But if you're here in this stream, if you're following us on Facebook and you're with other Facebook groups, you probably already have that support. And that's the unfortunate thing. So one last thing that I'll say is that go ahead and share this with someone else who might need it. Like, give it a like, give it a comment, of course, but also share it with people who are not as involved in these support systems, because they're the ones that really need to hear this information of where to turn to find this stuff. You people, who are here live, I know you know where to turn because you're here, you're listening to us. So obviously you're a good judge of character. I'm joking, of course, but so yeah, you're proactive and you're out there. We've probably seen some of you at our booth events before, and so yeah, go ahead and when you get a chance, share this with someone else who is not as connected. Get them involved in Facebook groups, get them involved in advocacy. If they're trying to go through these programs, tell them where they can turn to get some more information. All right. Well, I'm gonna end here. I don't know. Is Nicole gonna go live today?
No, Nicole is out for the day.
Nicole is on vacation right now, I believe. So there's not going to be any Spanish live today. So sadly, if anyone here likes doing both, there's not going to be one today. But I hope you all enjoyed and had some good information. Share with somebody, a little advice or a little a place to turn where they can find something. And again, one last time, we are going to be having a special education workshop the end of this month, the last Saturday, the 26th. Okay. And it's going to be online. So no matter where you are in the state, you can come and join us, where Myra's going to be talking all about special education, and you can find the information and the sign up for that on our website. So thank you all for coming, and we'll be back to Caleb for your regularly scheduled Facebook Live next week.